take over Afghanistan, but they would do everything in their power to take over Pakistan and get their nuclear arsenal. And they don't care about human lives. They actually, all these suicide bombers, they think they're going to a very special privilege in heaven. And it's amazing to me how radical these people really are, but they are. Well, I didn't mean to go on and on like that. Excuse me. Yes, over here.
Okay, next. Senator Hatch, my question involves the proper role of government, and I'm going to quote a section of the Declaration of Independence. It says, "We believe that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." The very next sentence says that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. That is government's job, to secure our God-given rights. How many people understand what the Constitution is? The Constitution does not grant us our rights. The Constitution is a delegation of power from the people and the states to the federal government. It is defined and it is limited on purpose. And I have seen through history, I don't have much history, but I've seen it from acts of Congress that government has abused that power. And the federal government has usurped the federal government has usurped power that it does not have, and every time I turn around, the federal government is saying, well, here's a problem, we need a solution to that problem. Let's create a program to solve that problem. That is not government's role. And every time they create a program, it takes dollars out of my pocket and every person in here to fund that program. So my question to you is, what are you doing to influence others in the Senate about the proper role of government? It is not to give people things, it is to secure our rights.
I'm proud of you, because you said it as well as it could be said. And I'm a great believer in government of the people, by the people, and for the people. You notice it wasn't just liberty that we're securing, it's our happiness under the Constitution. And a lot of people forget the word happiness. And I agree with you. I think we are gradually losing those rights because of an almighty federal government run by the left. Now, like I say, there's a hardy bunch of conservatives back there, and I'm one of them. We're fighting every day. And remember what I said. The federal government didn't give us our rights. The Constitution does. And the federal government, well, let me put it this way. The federal government did not give us our rights. We create the federal government, and they get their powers. Let's use the word power. They get their power from us. Problem is that it's tough to get enough people out there sometimes to vote to protect our rights. And I agree with you on everything you said. So. Thanks.
The Republicans are no different than the Democrats.
He says the Republicans are no different than the Democrats. Well, I certainly don't agree with that. I think some Republicans are not much different from the Democrats, but there are a number of us.
They have things they want to spend money on. That is not their job.
Republicans don't believe that. Real Republicans, I'm telling you. No, the majority of them, well, I just made a case that we were less than 41 votes. And we could have been 35. Where would we be then? The fact of the matter is that some of us have been giving our lives back there, doing everything we can to do what you want to have done. And let me tell you, well, I'll be glad to give my life for my country. My brother did. And all I can say is this, you're right, and I appreciate it. But boy, don't blame all Republicans because we have a small bunch who don't agree with us on some of these liberal issues. All I can say is if you don't have Republicans, you don't have anything. It's just that simple. Let me make another case that's a good one for you and backs him up. I, for one, love this Tea Party movement. I am very, very happy for it. I think it's long overdue. But if you think we Republicans aren't as angry as you are, you got another thought.
having there.
Coming. The fact of the matter is that I'm happy for the Tea Party movement. But I can tell you right now, if we don't band together, this is going to continue just like it is. I'll give you an illustration I gave down in American Fork in my last town hall meeting. One of my best friends in the Senate, and one of the best senators there, was Gordon Smith from Oregon. Gordon has all kinds of connections to Utah, has a home in Utah. He's one of the most honest, decent, reasonable, good guys. Now, he represented one of arguably the most liberal state in the Union. So he couldn't be total conservative like most of us, but on economic matters he was. Gordon Smith served in the Senate for 12 years. He was running for his third term. He knew he'd never get elected again if he didn't get elected this time. Gordon, on really tough conservative votes, was with us, especially economic votes. He lost that election by 45,000 votes. I'm sure a very sincere, decent, honorable, quote, Constitution, unquote, candidate took 125,000 votes away from him. Now, he wouldn't have gotten all of those because there are some people who just hate Republicans so bad they're not going to vote for any Republican. And that's a big mistake in my book because, but he would have gotten 46,000 votes or more. Now, we have a nice man in the Senate for the rest of our lives, and he is as far left as.
And right now, our big issue down there, before I moved up here, was the illegal immigration on the border. The problem that we're having there is the rumors that are flying around now that the Democrats are going to push for amnesty, and if so, they hope to stack the voter base in their favor. Are you still willing to push for the harder issues on principle and say these cuts need to be made, even if they threaten to do that? And if so, what's the Republican solution for it?
Well, I think I outlined a number of Republican solutions in health care, but let me just say this. Yeah, I'm willing to push for it, but we have to treat our senior citizens properly. And I don't think we should cut back on the senior citizens, but there's no use kidding about it. For the future, we're going to have to make some changes. Now, let me give you an illustration. When Social Security came into existence, the average life expectancy was quite low. Most people didn't live to get Social Security. Today, if you lived to age 74, and that's 9 years above what you can get, so actually 11 years above what you get Social Security under current law. If you live to age 74 in relatively good health, you're going to live to 90. And that puts a tremendous burden on those who have to pay for all that. We also know that we need more and more workers all the time. And frankly, we're going to have to, down the line, probably raise the retirement level, the years of retirement, so that we've got to get real for it. Unfortunately, our kids are going to have to pay this price. Unless we can get enough people in the Congress to do what I'd like to do, it's going to be difficult to even do this, but we're going to have to raise the age level. We're going to have to work around with the CPI and other economic accounting approaches. But if we don't do what's right, I told you, Medicare is $38 trillion in unfunded liability. It goes into insolvency. By the way, Social Security was supposed to not go into insolvency or less than the money coming in until 2016 or 17. It goes into it this year. That's because a lot of people are out of work, a lot of people aren't paying into the system, but it's a real big problem. Medicaid is almost as bad off as Medicare, and that's Medicaid's for the poor and for the disabled. And we have got to, and I think our young people are ready to bite the bullet to make sure that they're not completely left out in the future and we're not completely bankrupt. By the way, Moody's is thinking of downgrading the dollar. If they do that, my gosh, and the rest of the world is saying, why should we make the dollar the standard throughout the world? I don't see how they're going to help but downgrade it if this administration keeps on. And if by the year 2020 we're $20 trillion, $300 billion in national debt, according to the